Hello, we're back. My God, we're back.
Another
My
week.
most panicked hour of the week. Welcome to the Dragon Plus live stream, where we discuss more of the content heading into each issue of Dragon Plus and take a more visual look, apropos for today, at the design, the development, and running of your D&D game content, taking advantage of our visual live stream with some visual art pieces. So. Today we have some very special guests. I'll start in the middle from Team Permanent Wave. It was Kate Irwin.
It was. It still is.
Kate, you took part in our Mordenkainen's Mayhem
I did.
event. What monster were you?
I was the Leviathan.
The Elder Elemental Leviathan. And you defeated Nathan Stewart, right?
I sure did.
And then what
I
happened?
beat him,
Yeah.
and then Ari beat me.
Oh,
But
yeah. Ari loved it.
It's okay.
He beat both people in our department named Kate, oddly enough.
yes,
So.
yes.
But we're glad to have you here. We're going to be talking about Mordenkainen's art and some of the creatures, showcasing some of the art and some of the concept art that goes into the creatures. Sitting on, we just had this discussion, damn it, is it your stage on your right, which would be
Stage left.
stage left from
Stage left.
Team Booze Hags and champion of Mordenkainen's Mayhem, we have Sean Wood.
Yeah.
Sean, what was the creature that you won the entire competition with?
It wouldn't have mattered. I would have won anyway.
Oh my gosh.
That's a
It
positive.
was the Yankee Supreme Commander.
Yes, Shelley took the first leg of that.
But
That
she
race.
abandoned the team. You don't have to bring her up every time.
I feel I'm obligated. I'm contractually obligated. This right here says I'm contractually obligated.
All credit.
That's right. And and you were placed in a precarious situation because you were facing Emmy when you were fighting. We didn't realize that you actually had an earlier version, or Emmy had an earlier version of the Cybriax
Yes, Emmy cheated.
What?
that had its hit points maxed out,
Emmy was
Oh.
playing with double hit points.
as opposed to
Oh,
the
yeah,
average
yeah.
hit points. But you still.
Of course, like I said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you were about to go out in a blaze of glory and ended up. And
Doesn't matter.
And finally on
meant to
stage left. Damn it, I've already forgotten.
That stage right,
Stage right.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
My left, stage right.
I'm on Team Lone Wolf.
Yeah. What if you, Richard Witters? If you were going to have a monster team name, what would your monster team name would be?
The Barts.
Kanko, really not a bad choice.
Bart's my favorite monster.
Would it be the?
They're better than orcs. We just get like a herd of Barts and we
That
just
sounds-
hunt them.
Sounds awful. Are they covered in flop sweat? And,
Yeah. Totally.
I hear that it should be stank milk.
Stank. Oh, yeah.
I think that
Team Stank Milk.
Emmy must be watching.
I've been known to make lunch at my desk that has not smelled good in the past. Is there a story behind Team Stank Milk?
Yeah.
I think it smelled fine at first, but
Yeah.
over the
It
weeks,
get a little garbagey.
it became stank milk.
Yeah.
Did you really leave milk at your?
It was tea
Oh.
with honey in it.
Yeah.
And
And
apparently that makes some pretty pungent stuff. If you want to try it at home, it takes about a month and a half or two. Yep. Sean actually was the breaking point. He was like, "Oh God,
I had to pull him
what
over.
is going on?"
So yeah, that's what the Barts will drink is stank milk. Yeah. I once had a manager threaten to fire me if I ever microwaved salmon again. But
Smart manager.
I was going to say, in his defense, he might have had a point. So for folks watching, we wanted to, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes is right around the corner. We've got the main release comes out on May 29th. Sorry, the large release on May 29th. The limited release hitting core hobby stores on May 18th with the super cool alternate cover version coming out. I think I said this twice a week for the last 8 weeks, in which you'll discover the truth about the great conflicts of the D&D multiverse. So excited for Mordenkainen's to come out. So we've spoken with Jeremy last week about some of the design work that goes into the monsters. We wanted to take a look at some of the visual design work that goes into the monsters at Mordenkainen. So we thought, who better to ask than Kate, Erwin, Sean, and Richard. So as always, and we've done this in the past, I think we had Kate you in when we were talking Tomb of Annihilation. God, Tomophos and Tomb of Annihilation. We took a look at some of the art, and we were talking through what went into it and some of the concepts and all of that fun stuff. So let's start the conversation. We'll show something from Tomophos. Which one would you like to start with?
Oh gosh, can we start with the giff?
Sure. Do we have the yes?
Yeah.
Bring the giff.
Oh, the giff.
The giff.
The giff Yankee. No, this is
No.
a giff.
No,
Just
and
a giff.
that's
Come on, Carol.
Monster in the
that's the funny thing, though. They're a giff Yankee in this book, and they're also giff.
Yes. And
So-
I can only guess who might have suggested the GIF appearing in.
Who do you think it was?
Stan.
Uh,
No.
No.
it's
Who?
Perkins.
Ah,
Right? Am I right?
Stan, I think so, yeah. Stan
mean-
was excited that there
Yes.
was a gift in there.
Yeah.
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 Stan has a giff at his desk now.
Yes, and then I'm in a D&D game with him. It's been on hiatus, but in that game he plays a GIF.
Yeah.
So a GIF monk. So for something like that, how does that start? Chris Perkins suggests, hey, we've got Mordenkainen's coming out. We want, here's a list of monsters. The GIF is one of those. Does it come to you and then it comes out to one of these?
It starts with these guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's us and the writers, and then they will have it's usually meetings of like, we're going to do a monster book. Here are all the old cool monsters, and then there's a lot of sorting and deciding which ones deserve to be resurrected and which ones don't. and then it's a matter of, do they need updated? And Richie took the helm on the GIF there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because hippo guys are cool.
So can we pull up I think we've got a couple of concept pieces and then the final piece. So,
The
what are we
first
looking at
This
here?
is the first sketch
Okay.
that came in from the artist. Ralph Horsley, I assigned the gift to him. The image that you saw prior to this was Richard's concept image. And so he did different versions. He had naked ones, he had clothed ones, there was even a baby in that. Yeah. But I sent it to
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And he smokes a pipe and he shoots a gun. I mean, he does all the things that characters are not supposed to do, but, but he does it.
We do them anyway.
Yeah.
And I can't see the chat, but anybody making GIF jokes, that's low-hanging fruit, and it's not really, come on, you can do better.
It's already happened.
Yeah.
I was Stabby Rogue Games has already told me to give us a break, Bart. So
Okay.
it's already in there. Now it's out.
That joke is
So the gift was assigned to Ralph Horsley, and he did that first sketch, which was really beautiful. But we asked him to take another stab at it because he had the camera angle up above.
Yeah.
And so it kind of made the GIF look like he was a small creature.
Oh, yeah, because you got a different.
Yeah, because you're looking down on him.
Yeah.
And, artists will do that because they want something different instead of it just being like blah. But we told him what our concerns were, and so then he did another sketch, which is even awesomer.
There we go.
Yeah.
We got that now.
So he looks a little more imposing now, and loved it so much. And then,
And that's a vape.
yeah, oh, totally vape.
Yeah,
It's a water
Blueberry
pipe.
vape.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I mean, there we
And
go.
there he is in his final form. all purdy.
That's cool. Do we? Yeah, I
He looks very noble.
He does. He's one of those creatures that just clearly has, aside from being a hippo person, has his own look and feel. He's got the gun. He's got the military epaulets and his own sort of visual styling.
Get this kind of shape.
And hippos are mean. They're mean
Who would have
things.
thunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. They look so gentle and sweet,
I know.
but not.
So Richie, how much did you decide to go with or change from the original?
I pretty much stuck with the original. It was at least the original idea because they kind of get interpreted different ways. I think there's a few noodly bits of like proportion of like head to body and stuff like that that I was farting around with.
That's a technical term.
But it's pretty much a hippo guy, you know. so it's really, you know, that's just a neat thing in itself. So it's just catching that, yeah.
Super cool. You kind of mentioned that there's a list of creatures that you came up with, or that was generated by the department, and some of them looked or felt ripe for reincarnation, and others didn't. Are there any particular monsters that maybe almost made the cut but didn't quite?
Well, yes, but
the adherer from the Fiend
Yeah,
Folio.
that's what came to mind for me.
Yeah, there were a
too.
few. I will say that they did let me put the corpse flower in, which was a home game monster of mine.
Yeah.
Which
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was a cool one,
I
yeah.
didn't know that's why I would have included it in our visuals. Here.
Well, you guys will just have to wait.
I think Nathan showed that off at the fireside chat.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll throw up some sketches.
Because he asked for that page from Mordenkainen specifically. So
Yeah, that's one of the rare new monsters in D&D.
Pella might know. Did that go up on Friday? Yes, we got a thumbs up.
Oh, well, there you go.
And from folks from last week's chat, we still need to make the Pelham emote. Probably two. One of them will be thumb up, and one of them will be thumb down.
But yes, there's all kinds of creatures that get suggested and cut, and then sometimes they get all the way right to the final. I'm not bitter, though.
Somebody
I'm not
pulls
bitter.
the
Oh, there we got the corpse flower on on screen
Yeah.
right now. So you use this in your home game? This is
Yeah,
a horrific
yeah.
creature.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They actually nerfed it a little bit, but but yeah, it was just one of those kind of deals where there's not enough flora monsters, in my opinion, and you could flora plus undead, and it just kind of fit. So
Mother's Day is right around the corner, so it's
Yeah.
the gift of a corpse. I don't know. I kind of wanted to. You had a question for Richard. I kind of wanted to expand on because I had a similar one. So when there are monsters that are listed out for the book, are there elements for them that are sort of dictated in advance? The GIF has to have this, this, and this, versus are there elements that are open to interpretation and you get to sort of have at it and see where it goes?
There's a lot of most of the monsters in this book, pretty much all the monsters in this book, are updates to like
Except for
older
the corpse flower.
monsters that came from different places. So we're at least basing it on that.
Yeah.
Visually, if we figure out a kind of a cool thing, then we'll kind of add that to the mechanics of it, I guess. And mechanically, if they have a new twist, we'll push that around too and say, does this mean anything visually? So each one we kind of went through and chatted about, but a lot of them are really just like a visual redesign. So you say, oh, this thing hasn't been touched since like the mid '80s. So do we give it a facelift, or is it okay? There's a lot of things that are just like, that's cool. We don't have to bother changing that. It's still cool. So it's all those little decisions. Yeah.
Well, let's look at another one. Can we look at the speaking of Mordenkainen's mayhem? We had Ari was playing the Nightwalker.
The Nightwalker.
The Nightwalker.
Oh, yeah.
So this is and again. I enjoy the opportunity to talk to you guys because, in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, you get the finished pieces, but we get an opportunity to kind of look at some of the concepting and the sketching that goes into those pieces. So what are we looking at now?
So it's the Nightwalker, I mean, is basically a manifestation of evil from the negative plane that generally walks around in the oh my gosh, nether plane. What's the other? What's the plane it lives
Negative.
in? No. Anyway,
Does it say in my notes?
the nether region realm.
The nether regions?
nether
Oh
regions.
dear. Negative
Yeah.
energy plane.
Well, that's where he's from, but
Oh.
then he escapes that.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it was more of a. This was one of those really, really like loose concepts. To,
Oh, the Shadowfell.
Thank you, the
Okay.
Shadowfell. I don't know,
Thank
I was-
Mad Hatterham.
Thank you. Completely blanking on the name of that place. And it was just a sketch to so more invoke like this thing is, you know, a force of nature more than anything, you know, and scare the things. And the final actually, you know, it encapsulates some of that, but we had to kind of like make him more of a creature for the final book. But, so sometimes, you know, the final will not look like the concept art, but still have that, you know, the idea. And that was really loose. You know, it was just a big thing with a guy running from a horse.
Am I correct? I'm assuming that was one of your concept pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think we've got this is a version that sort of led to the
So
final
this
piece.
is the sketch from Ben Wooten. So what I do when I commission, I have a written out description of the monster, and then I have the reference that either these guys came up with, or if we kind of know what the creature looks like, I'll have reference from previous editions. So this described him as 20 feet tall, weighing 20,000 pounds, made of solid darkness, a vague humanoid shape, possibly sprouting horns from its head, and it kills by its mere presence alone. But it might point at another creature, which Ari spent a lot of time pointing his finger.
Yes, the enervating ray.
Tried.
And that causes it to die.
When it doesn't.
Was that was the final, right?
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
taking on the
Championship.
Nightwalker. And so I think here we're now looking at.
So this is the final image.
Yeah.
So you can see all of the darkness wisping off of him, and he's about to point his finger at that poor little guy.
Oh,
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, that
Good
is
stuff.
a suitably nightmarish piece.
Yeah.
So some cool things there. Yeah. But
sketch to
Who
final.
was the artist on that one?
Ben Wooten.
Ben Wooten.
so how does it work? I mean, you guys generate some of the concept pieces that just sort of inspires what might go on to some of the artists as they're assigned out across the book.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the piece, there might be more like required detail, and others are more general direction.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes. Go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes artists have more freedom, and other times they don't.
Yeah.
Are there particular monsters, whether it's Mordenkainen's or maybe when the Monster Manual or anything came out, that lends itself to we would prefer to have a tighter control over the look and feel? It's a more
Well, definitely the dragons, we want a
Yeah.
really tight
yeah.
design for those. And they've been around for a long time, and we push boundaries a little bit,
Yeah.
but you have to be able to recognize it's a D&D dragon.
Yeah.
And usually for any monster, there will be certain things that are non-negotiable, like a beholder always has 10 eye stalks.
And googly eyes. Is
Double,
what-
yes.
Googly eyes
Super
is
googly
important.
eyes.
From
Yeah.
recent reinterpretations of the Beholder. So yeah, we'll talk more about the stream of many eyes. at
Yeah,
that,
and we've made that too, that sort of hierarchy chart of,
Yeah.
you know, dragons are right up there at the top, and then there's beholders and mind flayers and all that, and we try to keep those the most consistent, because those are the things you're going to see carried throughout different expressions of D&D. But as they get more obscure, it's really like Sean and I get a little more freedom of like, oh, we can just completely redesign this thing because it really never made sense, or this might be a cooler idea for the look of it. So it's all that kind of scale.
Were there any creatures that come to mind where it was, hey, let's go completely off past interpretations of it visually? And I don't know if it would be for Mordenkainen's or for any other creature that.
I think we have one coming up in this.
We've done a few that we've.
Marut.
Marut.
Oh,
In the past, we've done some other ones too, like that too.
Yeah.
Where we've kind of gone off, just did our own thing.
Let's take a
Yeah.
look at the marut. Marut?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Marut.
We have that.
Marut.
I should have brought a Perkins sketch for the marut.
So this is an old mini of the marut.
Yeah.
And then we also have Richard's reconcept of him.
Yeah, no, this is actually based. Sean had done one before this too, and it incorporated a lot of this stuff too, especially the sort of eye that's sort of like a Modron eye, because we were going to connect them a little bit with like maybe Modron's built this. So the little wings and the eye are like Modron touches that Sean had had in a previous concept, and then I just had this really weird idea of how it could kind of like start low and then come to life. And that plate in the middle was sort of the contract that's aligned to it. Because this guy enforces contracts.
Yeah.
So basically, that contract is written on that plate in the center of his chest. And if you break the contract, he wakes up and he'll go enforce the contract.
Like Judge Dredd.
I was going to say, so with art contracts, we have a series of
Exactly.
maruts that.
Make me sound so mean,
Or,
but
or,
yes.
or Dragon
yes.
Plus live contracts. or
Yes.
Like that, yeah. Like, he'll be there at 2.
I always thought those were super cool. The concept of the the inevitables, sort of at large,
Yeah.
are always such a cool thing. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want in the game, but there might be some universal forces that are listening to your actions and might have something to say about that.
Yep. Yeah, they've got a bit of Jack Kirby on them, like these eternal, sort of universal contract enforcers.
We've got the marut. We've done the giff, the marut, the Nightwalker. And where should we turn our attention to next?
What else do I have on here? Let's look at sea elves.
Okay.
Because they are
Sea
a
elves.
little bit different. So this is a case where they were similar enough.
Now this isn't the sea elf
No.
that we have on the screen now.
No, this is not. So it was similar enough to another creature that we could say it's like this, but instead of having human proportions and human face, it would have elfy proportions, be more slender and lithe, and then have the facial features of an elf. So, so Mark Bem did this. These are sketches that he did, and it's fighting a Sahuagin.
Yeah, close enough.
Sahuagin, yes.
Sahuagin.
Sahagwan.
Sahuagin. Yes, so there are two of them. And then in his final piece, he ended up flipping it, and I like it even better flipped. So.
And you and I have had that exact discussion
Yes.
about when we were talking, I think, the Giant Adventure series, where some of the art pieces come in and you look and see if it looks better flipped or the way that it...
Depending on where it's placed in the book,
Yeah.
sometimes we might flip it. Definitely if there is any purposeful, what do you call it when things aren't mirrored to each other? They are
Asymmetric?
asymmetrical.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
see what you're saying.
I'm having a hard time
We're
with
all
words
losing
today.
at words today.
Yesterday was worse, but today is not so good either.
You can just say Sahuaganism. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or if there are words or symbols that need to stay in a certain direction,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have that freedom to flip things. But sometimes we do, and sometimes it works for the book.
I think we had used on Magic, if you have a Johnny, he's got an eye patch
Yeah,
on one eye.
yeah.
So you can't flip him as easily because people
However,
know.
if you have Jarlaxle, you can flip him because sometimes
Oh,
his eye
yeah.
patch is on one eye and sometimes it's on the other.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know if I ever found you that link, but there was an old story
yes.
about Superman's part.
I've been practicing parting my hair on different sides
Ah.
and to see if I get any reaction. But I really I really don't like parting it on the side that's supposed to be the more successful side.
Yeah.
I just don't like it, so I don't
side
do it
is
very
it?
often.
There was
This
an,
side.
Yeah, there's an old story
So the hair
about
goes on that
Superman's
side.
part.
Bart's unsuccessful?
No, Bart's on the good side.
No,
Oh, okay.
in general,
I generally-
yes, but the part has nothing to do with it. Just
Are you
wildly
sure?
unsuccessful. So Superman's part, it was one of those things where you always look at yourself in the mirror, and so that's how you think your hair is, but really it's a mirror image. So your part's actually on the other side, and if you try parting it that way, you look completely different to yourself. And Superman, when he changed from Clark Kent to Superman, one of the things that they did was they had him change his part. And there's a version of that where it looks like you're more, I don't know.
More dashing and
How
successful.
long were you tricked by the mirror?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It told me that guy told,
Questioning
Now
your
I'm
logic
picturing
a little
you-
bit.
Son told you?
I'm picturing you looking in the mirror and barking at yourself like a puppy when they first see
Yeah.
their reflection
Oh,
in the
yeah.
mirror.
Where's my pen?
Oh my gosh.
I can't get my
Startled,
pen.
yeah.
Who's that?
There's a lot of things that confuse and frighten me in this modern world. live streaming being one of them. Well, I can take these lumps and have nothing to say back. So
Back to art.
go ahead, back to the seal.
Enough of Bart, back to art.
Yeah. So that was the Triton, right? That was the first
Yeah.
reference that was
Yes.
used, and then it went to the artist, just sort of said, "Hey, this is somewhat what we're looking for,"
Yeah.
or
It's like a Triton if he were an elf.
and you'd also mentioned more elfin features.
Yes.
Do you guys have sort of I don't know, like a sketch? You know, the Leonardo guy, with a version
Yeah.
of that, but for the different D&D races, or
Yeah.
We do.
you're looking at me like I'm mad.
No.
Mad, I say.
No, you're very astute. Yes, we do have things like that. It's not literally a Da Vinci.
Yeah.
And Richie here has promised me new ones.
Updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have that, and we have a reference that shows an elf face, half elf face, and a human face,
Yeah.
so that you can see the progression and kind of know if your character is hitting the right marks.
Are there ever like celebrities that you reference for? Here's tends to be what a more elfin. No.
Not really. Not real people.
Yeah.
We will use real people sometimes for an attitude of a character. Like if somebody's supposed to be really, really kind and gentle, we might
Say
choose an
that's a
actor
Bart.
that, or a friend of ours that, yeah. Or if they're like super badass or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll use characters. Sometimes it's the physical character, the way the actor portrayed them, and sometimes it's the personality character of whatever they're playing.
Okay.
Too. So you
Yeah.
have to.
You'd be like, make this eloquent, beautiful elf, like Joe Pesci-ish,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to,
That's why Richie doesn't do much commissioning.
I'm picturing the wooden figures that you manipulate for the drawing guys, the drawing mannequins, but like different versions for the different races.
Yeah.
We should make that.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Let's get some wood.
Although we probably wouldn't in this day and age do it with wood. We would have Sean do something 3D for us.
Oh yeah. Or Caleb.
Or
you put
he
a
might
wood
have
yes.
other things that are more important.
Can you put a wood texture on it?
I can. Get right on that.
And we'll print it in wood.
All right. Well, we've got
All
we got a few more monsters we wanted to showcase. We looked at the sea elves. We've got. You look like you might have your eye on.
Well, I think the ones that we have left,
we've got the Eladrin. We've got
yes.
sorrowsworn.
they
Avishai.
have the Avishai, the Eladrin, and the sorrowsworn all have multiple references. So they're part of a family of monster or creature. So let's start with Avishai. Let's go. Oh, okay. No, Sean wants sorrowsworn.
I want to do something pretty to contrast with the sea elves.
Pretty like sorrowsworn pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what Sean thinks is pretty. Everyone,
Sean scares a lot of us here.
we like him a lot, but he scares us.
So what are we looking at here?
So the sorrowsworn are a family of monsters, and Sean reconcepted all of them.
So my first question is, what's wrong with you? Clearly, yeah, no, these look...
I don't part my hair.
They look wonderfly demented. Is that...
Macabre.
Yeah.
Macabre?
We
Yeah.
decided to tie them in a little bit into the Shadowfell more by making them sort of reflect some of the darker, almost emotions or, needs that the Shadowfell sort of encompasses, and this idea that they are the leftovers of, war, or that's where the idea started from, so they like the hungry or the needy or the lonely or the angry, this is what happens. And
These
so
are the worst 7 dwarves.
kind of, yeah. And then it was just drawing really creepy things that sort of felt like that they could mirror that.
Stabby.
So this is the artist that did the final, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Corey Trego Erdner. These are his sketches for Sorrowsworn, the Lonely. And of course, we had to go with the one with the severed hand in it. So this is the final.
I like the idea that
piece.
that's his hand. He just...
Well,
Where else to put it?
Well, no, they're lonely, so they have these like spear arms. At least I can't remember what the final one thing was, but the idea was that they would like spear ghosts or people and then drag them along with them, so they wouldn't be so lonely.
Oh,
Take my hand.
Yeah,
I'm
see, that's
lonely.
much better, isn't it?
in a way, yes. In another way, that's awful. I just like picture a version with a teddy bear instead of a hand, though.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted.
Or I guess it'd be like a bugbear or something else. And Pelham, if you look in the other folder, I think we've got a different version of the Sorrowsworn for the Wretched.
Yes,
And
you
this-
do.
Wretched.
Yeah.
This is Emmy's favorite monster.
Yes, they made their appearance in Mordenkainen's Mayhem. They did quite well for themselves. They were using pack tactics to overwhelm. Adam Lee was Moloch.
Oh, is that how he died?
Yes,
Amateur.
it wasn't. It wasn't even any of Cybriacs. It was her Wretched were just attached
That's
to Moloch
hilarious.
and just drained him to pieces.
Look at that.
Lamprey.
So what emotion would the Wretchedest just sort of that?
I will give you a complete and honest answer. Mike threw these in at the last instance. He wanted little like Shadowfell chicken looking things.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Shadowfell
you
chicken.
get 100% merles.
Toothy potato.
But you drew it.
Yeah. And I actually think it was based on a. Was it? No, I was gonna say it was based on an older monster, but I don't think it was. Now I don't remember. But yeah, he wanted a little guy.
It's based
Little
on
zergling.
Winston. True or false?
No. My dog is handsome and beautiful. It's based on a toothy potato.
Sounds about right.
Potatoes have eyes, not teeth. Oh.
That's horrifying.
dad
It might have been he had like a picture of a maw demon, and he was like, I want something like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think a
Okay.
maw demon's kind of close. So.
There's some
All
little
right.
creature he wanted
Yeah.
in there.
So I guess part of the process, there's some late additions or ideas that come into the process along the way as the book comes together.
Yeah, there's a process of like if Mike gets really excited.
Yeah.
Whatever Mike wants, Mike
Yeah, because he
gets.
starts going, oh, it'd be really cool. Oh, it'd be so cool. And they're like, okay, we'll have to do that one.
We're blowing the lid off of the design process.
The concepting happens months before I start my commissioning, though. So
Yeah.
even though it's something that is a late addition to them, it was still decided upon before I got my art
Yeah,
order.
and it wasn't not even necessarily late. It was just throw these in there too.
Yeah. I like that we show off some of the concepts to the art. There's walls in our department that have a lot of pieces on them, and I think it behooves us to maybe take a picture of those walls for, later use. We clearly keep them as secret as possible because it's books under wraps. But it'd be great to. I should start taking pictures of those so that we can showcase them.
Do you not see the sign that says no photography?
Yeah, it's for later release. Because there's pieces up now that are super cool.
Get a picture of Bart taking a picture.
Yes.
And then escort it
turn him
Show it
immediately.
to HR.
So that was the sorrowsworn. Let's look at. Did you want to see the Avishai?
Sure.
So the Avishai.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yes.
Now you had mentioned that you had a whole family of
Yes.
references here.
There are 5 different colors that Richard came up with based on dragons.
Yeah, they're kind of
chromatic
mapped off of the
dragons.
evil chromatic dragons. And they're all, I think, the sort of children of Tiamat and maybe Asmodeus. I'm not sure. I forget
all
the
her children equally.
She's not very loving, Mom. I don't think so, because these are all bad kids. But it's kind of fun. This one's just sort of I really just sort of got their structure down, and then just tweaked each one a little bit with a few shapes and the color to sort of give them a little bit of variety. Yeah.
So that they map back to their original dragon.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a color map back to the original dragon. And the weapon, sort of each one having a little weapon, sort of suggests, the big guy in the middle there obviously is a big hack sword kind of guy. Whereas the guy just off to his left is more of a spellcaster-y kind of dude. So it gives you a little bit of that with just those little touches without having to put them in full costume or anything, because we want to kind of keep them monstery and keep them off other stuff too.
And I think we've got the progression of the
white Avishai.
White Avishai.
Yeah. So as Richard was saying, he's the fighter in the family. So Daniel Landerman did the final art for this, and he was kind of fooling around with the head shapes a little bit, trying to refine what it was that we were after. So he gave us 3 they're slightly different. You can see that they all have the same white dragon elements to it, but we went with the middle one that's a little bit more elongated, not quite so snub-nosed. And then he gave us a sketch, as is our process. The sketch helps us know what we're going to get in the final. Sometimes there are things that we need to refine at that point, but pretty much did what we were hoping for.
Nice.
So
Rawr.
there's his final. Yeah,
Aw.
this great big sword. I don't read anything into the size of that sword.
And what does the Avishai get Tiamat for Mother's Day then? She's corpse flowers.
It's on everybody's mind.
Corpse flowers, very good.
A bouquet.
Yeah.
A bouquet.
A bouquet
There you
of
go.
corpse flowers.
So yeah, let's get. So we've got the Avishai. We've got the Rudderkin kind of came in.
Oh yeah, the
Trisha.
Rudderkin. I didn't
Speaking
put
of,
him on my list.
Of
but
lovely.
yes.
The
He's
Rud-
a beaut.
Oh, look at him. Blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah.
So this is Sean's concept again.
So the Rudderkins they're an older monster, and there was in the descriptions of them, they had besides being really deformed, they had little man-trappy claw weapons. And so, which was funny and weird, but we decided that it would be funnier and weirder if they were organic as opposed to weapons. So, hence they have a mouth hand, a la Vampire Hunter D. But yeah, that's how they evolved. Was just kind of taking some of that old info and turning it up a little bit.
How does he brush his teeth on his little hand with that tiny little arm on the other side?
Well, he uses the hairs of its victims, and then he just kind of does this.
Oh, okay.
He's more a flosser
scrubby.
than a
Yeah,
brusher.
yeah.
What are those little birds that clean the alligator teeth, the crocodile teeth?
Those aren't real.
Yeah, that's not really relevant.
No. Come on, Bart.
I was
Don't take us
told.
off track, Bart.
I was told that's what the water pen uses. Sturges. They use sturges to clean it.
So in this case, Sean not only concepted this monster, but he took it to final.
Yes.
He loves him so much.
Mm-hmm.
So this is his final art.
We actually had some questions coming in, sort of, I guess, the materials or the processes used to go from concept to sketch to final. Is it generally digitally based? Is any of it like a physical painting that folks use? Does it vary by artist?
It varies by artist, but at this point, everybody turns in digital art, whether they've painted it traditionally or not. They'll photograph it and send us the photograph. Most of the artists that I work with work digitally or start traditionally, but then finish in a digital format. Like they'll paint over what they've painted for real sometimes. But yeah, back in the day, we used to get deliveries of paintings. Even with 5th edition, some of the artists that I worked with sent their paintings, and we have a photography studio here where we can shoot them and then color correct and everything. And then after the book was released, we would send the painting back to the artist because they own the physical painting.
Yeah. Yep.
Richard, Sean, favorite programs or?
Concept-wise, for me anyway, I usually use pencil or like the Avishai. It was pretty much straight to pen. And I'll just noodle ideas and sketch stuff out because at that stage you're just concepting. And then color I do digitally, just because it's quicker. Because concept is all about getting some ideas down fast, and then if you end up being like, I don't like that concept, you aren't super overly attached to it, so you can go like, okay, let's try something else. So I'm kind of half traditional, half digital. Yeah.
And Sean, you paint exclusively in the tiers of your Mordenkainen Mayhem's foes.
That's pretty good, yeah. No, I use everything. I mean, if there was, if I'm sketching in a meeting and it's on pencil, I'll use that. If it was on the iPad, I'll use that. A lot of the stuff, though, I sketch in a program called Krita, Krita. It's free. You should check it out if you are a aspiring artist. It's cheaper than Photoshop.
Are they paying you off? Do you have a
No
sponsor?
comment.
That's why it's free to
No.
him.
Yeah.
It's free, so I want them to keep getting downloads so they keep making it better because I like the program. And do a lot of painting in Photoshop too. So it's just all over the place. Sometimes, it's whatever, as Richard was saying, when you're concepting stuff, it's all about communication. So however we can communicate the ideas quicker. So if that means I need to model it in 3D because it's faster that way and I can get multiple angles, then I'll do that. If all I need is like an ink bloody sketch to show emotion, then that's what they're going to get. It's about, because we've always got 100 other jobs behind us.
Yeah.
So it's about getting it as quick as possible. It's not always pretty.
Well, from my experience, the best method is 8.5 by 11 paper and Sharpie markers, but that's just based on Dungeons and Doodles.
Yeah, that doesn't always good results, as we've seen from me in the
It
past.
bleeds through the paper as much as possible. Which will, I'll throw that out. We're going to be doing another Dungeons and Doodles coming up here May 22nd, I want to say. Next week, we will be talking to Jeremy Crawford again on more of the design process. The week after, we will be doing another Doodles show with possibly a couple of surprise special guests. So look forward to that. We've got another folder here with Eladrin. Should we look at the Eladrin?
So
Eladrin.
Eladrin.
This came up in our conversation last week with Jeremy. Folks were curious about more of Feywild and things of that nature, and we were mentioning that Eladrin appear in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
So the way they were described to me is that these are the elfiest of all the elves. So everything that is natural and emotive and words hard.
Asymmetric. No, elves are very,
They're very symmetrical
very
and beautiful.
symmetric.
But that they are more elfy than the elves that you will see in the regular world. And so then Richard was trying to make something that looks like an elf, but is more than an elf.
Yeah, a little exaggerated.
Yeah. So the first sketch that you're seeing is the first reference that Richie sent to me. And he did some really beautiful things with the ears so that they're a little more animal. They're still pointed like an elf, but the lobe is different so that it ends up looking like some kind of, I don't even know what it would be. It's not a rabbit, but it's something really cute without the little...
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's almost like a wing.
How did you come up with that? Because you just showed up one morning and you were like, I think this is it.
I had done some little elves like that, or ears like that on elves, like I think in high school.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh, this is just kind of a neat shape. But D&D has more like the traditional elves, like they didn't have that kind of ear, and like I said, this makes them look a little more animalistic a little bit. So I sort of just packed that away in my backpack, and eventually, it's like everything. A lot of things are, you've tried to draw a certain thing, or you've been like, oh, that doesn't quite work for this, but it just goes into your kit of like, well, I could try this thing, could try that thing. But this is actually like, those sketches are like just a bunch of sketches that are pulled out of even more sketches.
Yeah.
That I was like, here's, like there was probably about five, 6 times as many sketches as that. And those are just the ones that are like, I think I captured something with these, even though they're not necessarily perfect. It's like, there's some of the notes in here that we want, and it allowed Kate and I to sort of, move it along.
So the Tyrell Corporation has more human than human, but you have
More elfy
elfy
than
than
elf.
elf.
So Jeremy had also mentioned, and this kind of holds true for mechanics and design. Sometimes you have to kill your darlings, but they're not killed; they're just set aside. Do you all have sort of those sketches that maybe they were takes on monsters that you were trying, or something completely out of left field, and it didn't survive the process, or for a particular piece, but you're not ready to round file it?
Probably like 50% of everything we do.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's all that
Save
stuff
50%
goes through.
for later.
Yeah.
Use 10% and round file about 40%.
Yeah, something like that.
There's a lot of things, like, especially now, having come from magic stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some things that got used or didn't get used, and I throw them on Twitter. And my delight in that is sometimes people, especially D&D players, will see a picture and they'll be like, oh, I want to use this in my game. And I'm like, do it. Because at least this thing you did gets to like live in somebody's world.
Didn't you just put up a bugbear
Yeah.
on Twitter?
Yeah. I put up like an old school bugbear.
Yeah.
I'd done like a more modern one before that.
The old school with the pumpkin head?
Yes. Yeah, he had like the, Ernie football head. And these little pants. Yeah.
Did we run through to the final Eladrin? I don't know if we...
No, we didn't go through that all yet.
Yeah, let's take a look at the... so we've seen so here it kind of moves along.
In the book, we have an Eladrin for each season, and this was the concept that Richard made for the winter Eladrin. And then Eric Belial took that reference and the art description. Otherworldly, large ears and eyes, pointed chins. No, just one pointed chin. Long white hair. And she was supposed to embody the emotion of sorrow. So that was the other thing. They're really tied to nature, but they're also really tied to emotions. So trying to get that sorrow-filled feeling in the final art.
That's another thing too that Kate often has to deal with, where it's like Sean and I may be designing a creature and saying, here's what it looks like, or giving a good reference for a creature. But But a big part of what Kate does is like bringing that, like, oh, this is the emotion that's supposed to come across, or this is the scene that it's supposed to be in.
Adding a layer of storytelling to the
And
visual.
when do the mechanics start to marry in with the visual look? Does it come
From the
is
very
it-
beginning.
At the very, this
Yeah.
creature has this type of weapon or this type of power, and you want to see that expressed visually. Does it ever change as mechanics change, or do the mechanics ever change the art? Does the art ever change the mechanics?
Hopefully it happens when it's in these guys' hands, not by the time I get it. Because when most of the art that's in the book it is commissioned to an outside artist. So if we change something drastically, we pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with
Literally
these
and
guys, we just
figuratively.
pay with their time
Yeah.
Yes.
and their goodwill. So
And we have fun doing that.
They have goodwill.
We have some goodwill.
you just
We're
can't use
squandering
all
it
up.
this hour. That's,
Yeah.
Every hour we're here is one monster you don't get, guys. Sorry.
we have to commission more for this year's Extra Life. That's going to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I pulled a few more, especially from Mordenkainen's Mayhem in the other folder. So we went through, I think, all of the ones Kate was kind enough to send across, some of the art and the concept of art. In the other folder, though, we've got a few we can kind of scroll through now. Just to take a look at. So if you wouldn't mind maybe what the monster is, if there were any artistic notes that went into its commissioning or anything along those lines.
This is an astral dreadnought. This was one that we used older reference to get to. Siddharth Chaturvedi. That's the other thing, working in email, I don't always know how to pronounce my artist names, but I can spell them like crazy. This was one of my favorite, and actually when you asked me what monster I wanted to play in Mordenkainen's Mayhem, I said either this one or the elemental Leviathan. So.
Yes,
The
I think
Astral Dreadnought.
we'll do a Mordenkainen's Mayhem again, and I think we'll live stream the draft process because
Ooh.
that was also part of the fun. Was each person, and Sean will actually get to pick his monster as opposed to be given his monster.
Oh, you're taking my suggestion. I like this.
yes, we are.
Power.
Power.
And this was Kate Welch played the Drow.
Matron Mother.
Matron Mother.
This actually was a piece of pickup art. We hadn't illustrated her, and then I'm not sure if she was added to the book later. I don't remember how that process happened, but sometimes we're in the midst of laying out a book. It'll be like, we need something else. Do we have anything that will work for this? So that's where she came from.
Oh, is that Eidolon?
Yep.
Yes. This is Christopher Burdett, and of course the reference for this was the original cover with the idol. So
I love this one. I was always fascinated by what the idol was. I didn't realize it was Moloch.
Yeah.
But I love that the Eidolon fashioned itself into
The
that.
Githyanki Supreme Commander.
There they are. There's the
Yes.
Githyanki.
That's a great one.
yeah, this is Chris Seaman. He did a few of the Gith pieces.
Did he
in
also do the
book.
Githzerai?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Matt Warren was the Githzerai. He did not survive round one.
Yeah,
But it was
I
a
don't
good
even
film.
remember hearing about it.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so cold.
There we
Oh,
go.
there's
Yeah.
me.
I've got concepts for those things. I'll put them up on Twitter
Yes.
for people. 'Cause they're-
Yeah. Let's
Yes.
enter Kate.
All the. This is Lars Grant West. His interpretation of your beautiful older elementals.
No, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
You did a good job. You can hire him again if you want.
Okay. Good. He should be sending me a final sometime this week.
And there we've got Speak of the Devil,
Moloch.
Moloch.
Smashy McSmashy.
Yeah. Creepy McCreepy.
Oh, and
Oh,
this,
yeah.
we're not saying too much about this at the moment. We were going to have an interview later on with the young man who helped design.
Oh, fantastic.
Nolan Whale. We just wanted to call it out a bit in advance that this is one of the fine creatures in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Great piece.
And we even get to use Sean's sketch of that monster
Oh,
in the book. It is actually being published as well. Sybarex.
And there's Emmy's Sybarex.
Is that Emmy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't recognize her?
It's a take.
Well, her hair's a little different.
It's part. It's because see what happens
It's
when
parted
you part
on
it
the other
other
side. It's like, that's a little different than Emmy usually looks.
So tricky.
That's
It looks
all,
nice that way.
That's all it takes. All right. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour. So I did want to say again that we were looking today at the art from Monsters from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, coming out at the end of the month everywhere, May 29th, and limited alternative cover hitting stores on May 18th, which is right around the corner. Yep. So thank you all for joining another live stream to showcase your fine work. I'm much appreciative of being able to see it and showcase it, and hopefully our viewers are able to appreciate and enjoy that as well. Really quickly, we have our announcement up, of course, for the Stream of Many Eyes, our live stream event. It's taking place June 1st through 3rd in Los Angeles this year. Last year we were here in Seattle. We're live streaming all 3 days, of course, and also made tickets available to the Sunday games. So each ticket is for one of the games, but it also includes a tour of the whole facility and a bag of merchandise and all sorts of other cool things. This is the Dragon Plus live stream, and the next issue of Dragon Plus, issue number 20, will be coming out very shortly after the event. We wanted a little fast follow to highlight what took place in Los Angeles. We'll be talking about the new campaign setting. We'll be showcasing some of the live stream groups as well. This is, I guess, the final question here as we talk about the monsters. This was the big topic of conversation last week. Will we ever get more art on the flumps?
Probably. Well, we don't want to give it away, but there's a 800-page flump compendium. It's all flump classes.
Yeah. The proto-evil
Flump.
The
flump.
playable
Yeah,
fluff.
playable
Flump.
flumps.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Unless, you know,
It really is
Unless
what
you really
happened.
want it.
tweet Mike Merles.
Yes.
10,000
At
of you
Merles.
tweet Mike Merles. You'll make
Flump.
the ultimate flump handbook.
Flump player stat blocks and like progression charts.
Yeah, I'll draw some flumps and put them on my Twitter. You want to draw some flumps? I'll draw flump.
Well, I mean, we could have a flump 4 if you want.
Yeah, you want it? Friday flump 4? A flump off?
Fest?
A flump off.
Well, all right, there-
So there you have it on Friday. Me
Look
and Richard
for-
are going to have a flump off on live TV.
Yep.
No.
Come watch it.
Look for that on.
I'll
yeah.
be working from home.
So you can watch.
Stay out of your way.
Well, Sean, Kate, and Richard, thank you again for spending an hour of your time with us here in the D20 studio. So we got through it. Always
Next time we're going to redesign Pelham.
Oh, all right.
There's a different update Pelham.
Didn't know that was an option, and neither did he. But there
I
you
like
go.
him the way he is, though.
Yeah, we'll tweak him a little bit.
New directions.
Yeah,
Part the beard on another side. So.
yeah. He's a little 2002.
Ooh, right down the middle.
So thank you for tuning in. Thanks for everyone who follows and subscribes, of course, to the channel. Please do stay tuned at 3:30. We'll be back with D&D News with Greg Tito, and of course at 4 p.m. with Dice Camera Action and Chris Perkins. So on behalf of myself and everyone here, thanks for watching.
Thank you.